Nama saya Muhammad Syahri bin Jumaat, lebih dikenali sebagai Ai lah, on the street lah. Orang banyak kenal Ai sebagai Makrik Mentor juga. Okay, Ai ataupun Makrik Mentor kat street. So, first and foremost, thank you so much to Nur Insan for this invitation. Hopefully, it will benefit lah kita punya community, masyarakat kita dan juga teman-teman yang di luar sana lah. Currently, I'm doing things that blend with my passion, which is also my profession lah. I'm doing youth engagement, I'm doing mentoring for all those fallen brothers and sisters yang pernah terlibat dalam apa-apa gejala pun waktu silam mereka, di mana I believe semua orang banyak ada kesilapan dalam diri mereka dan juga lalai lah, and it lends to consequences dalam hidup mereka. So that is where I stand out as Makrik Mentor in identity wise, untuk kembali untuk memberikan wadah ataupun sebagai pelapis untuk kita punya masyarakat menerima mereka kembali. I understand the feeling of raising many child during my era. Okay, example, ayah kerja seorang, ibu waktu tu baru berhenti kerja just to settle down because we have 6 siblings growing up. Okay, so that one night when my dad balik tu, mungkin dia nak take a nap, rest kejap, tiba-tiba he suddenly awake. Bila dia awake tu, kita tak tahu, mungkin punca kita adik-beradik tengah kecoh ke, main-main ke, atau mungkin cara kita berbual tu kan dalam rumah. So dia macam frustrated, he look at every each of us. Without hesitation, my late mom was holding on to my younger sibling lah, anak yang ke-6 tu. Straight away he said that aku nak cerai. So from that day onwards, the curiosity built in me is macam, it is so easy for someone just to make a decision in life. Lagi-lagi orang yang kita look up to as a role model lah, ayah dan ibu tu, of course will be every child dream lah, to see whether these are their role model in life lah. So waktu tu it become a rebel sign in me lah. Kalau orang tua boleh buat macam gini, dan kita pun boleh buat kita punya own decision in life macam gini. As to counter to sebelum orang ejek kita, you know, coming from a broken family, semua dah main kat dalam kepala otak apa, orang akan cakap, family kau macam awkward, macam beza, kau ada mak tak ada bapa, walaupun no, they have not yet passed on atau pass away kan, tapi kau dah tak ada bapa, tapi kau ada mak. So with that kind of benda yang kita nak dengar tu, before kita dengar tu, I really well prepared myself to stand out as a rebellious child lah. So that I'm not easily to be bullied, ataupun if people start to differentiate their family and my family, I know what's coming, macam mana aku nak react tu benda. So that is how, as a child, I can develop that maturity in me. Walaupun that maturity is negative, tapi to me is don't let apa-apa pun dorang decision affect us, ataupun don't let whatever I do be the cause of dorang separation. Pasal ni benda memang antara dorang, bukan antara kita. So during that point of time pula, is ready in me. Macam I've been doing this, jujur cakap, during my time is, kalau aku belajar agama, aku banyak bikin amal soleh ke, aku buat apa-apalah kebaikan, of course kita nak bikin untuk mak bapak kita. So when mak bapak kita make this decision in life, I feel macam, then if ni benda diorang dah bikin macam gini, then what is for us? Bila they are settling through the process, I was approached by one of my late uncle. Dia cakap yang there will be a change in your life soon, and your sibling, where you all nak kena pilih, nak ikut ibu ke nak ikut ayah. So that thing is, memang ayah dah simpan till the day when ayah lafazkan cerai tu, sampai hari yang diorang cakap nak kena pilih ibu atau ayah tu, to be honest, anger dah memang build up in me lah. The rebellious me dah start to develop into an identity. So tak boleh lepaskan lah tu geraman, because you know that why must these things happen. But as a child, kau tak boleh react ni benda, but you have to absorb it. That is where it started lah. My life change lah. Daripada dah fikir baik, dah fikir to be someone who can be beneficial for the future kan, terus jadi jadi masalah untuk masa yang akan datang. I clearly remember when rumah tengah nak kosong, nak pindah apa. She let us sibling 6 adik-beradik ni yang dia nak bawa kita untuk membesarkan kita dia kan. Dia duduk kat dapur rumah lama tu dan ambil satu pinggan nasi dan letak air, letak garam. Okay. So she's a mother where dia memang tak malu lah nak suap kita lah. Normal lah mak suap anak makan apa. So that day macam sampai hari ni I ingat, I believe my sibling pun akan ingat this thing. This plate of rice, air putih dia tuang dengan garam. Dia cakap lepas ni our life of course will change. Kan? Mana ibu pergi, ibu akan bawa korang. Okay? Ibu tak nak korang split, ibu tak nak korang adik-beradik. Whatever come situation pun, you still need to be oriented as though macam korang masih ada ibu dan ayah. So bila dia swap kita tu, dia rasa macam tak boleh lah. Tapi dia cakap, selagi ni benda kita ada, selagi itulah ini adalah rezeki. You have to feel that kita belum lagi susah lagi. Selagi ni benda boleh kita telan, then we have to solo apa life give to us. So that is what make me boleh tahan even duduk rumah orang yang ada rule, even duduk tidur rumah orang yang hidup kita macam sardin, even duduk rumah orang bila orang lain bukan kita pemak tapi orang luar. Jujur cakap bila punish my sibling, even macam ada tegur my mom, kita tahu yang kita just need to stay to look out for each other during the point of time. So pasal tu sepinggan nasi air putih dengan garam yang dia buat tu, dia suap kita. Dia kata selagi teruk-teruk macam mana pun lah, always remember this plate. To think logically as an individual lah, what we want, of course, priority to live is proper food, proper shelter, and also of course the proper needs lah, kasih sayang and all. Tapi during that point of time, kita dah nampak shelter dah nak kena cari, dan proper food macam mana, of course arwah ibu waktu tu pun dah tak bekerja, tapi of course we know that she have some saving, how long boleh bertahan, then who will come in as a support for us sibling. Habis macam kasih sayang 6 anak, macam mana she want to juggle untuk kasih daripada nombor 1 sampai nombor 6. And to be honest lah, arwah ibu is a sort yang she will share every single bit. Macam mana pun sikit, kita akan dapat sikit. Kalau banyak, alhamdulillah. And she's the type where bila example masjid ada maulud ke apa, dia akan seret 6 adik-beradik pergi. And I clearly remember kalau dulu masjid Darul Makmur, nanti kita ada makan yang dulang tu, nanti adik-beradik kita akan sit circle dan kita makan sama. And she's a very active so-called macam group of volunteer jugalah kat masjid, even kat luar, whatever things. Tapi kita tahu cukup tak cukup, we have been surviving ataupun we live kita per life as sibling living with our single mother. Waktu rumah semua dah jual, we have to macam tumpang rumah orang, tumpang rumah arwah ibu piadik, dan tumpang duduk satu bilik, habis adik-beradik start baring by tilam, habis tidur macam sardin line up dalam tin gitu kan. So kita per life is like that. Nak buat benda rumah orang, nak bising pun susah. So we doesn't really get to enjoy whatever yang kita pernah rasa during we have our own place. Semuanya restricted. When things really trigger in me dalam hidup to start do all those petty offences, criminal, bila I nampak pula sometimes people in life can just come to you to give the assistance maybe once or twice. Lepas tu pandai-pandai kau lah. So that is how I see when my mom go through that phase of life. Dia dapat tu assistant maybe, tapi of course dengan you need to give someone a rod to fish. just can't give someone the fish. Macam gitu je. So I see that dengan my mom, selagi dia masih boleh, orang kata macam pandai-pandai bajet-bajet, dia punya saving tu, sampai dah semakin merosot, dia jadi balik. Even though ada rumah, tapi dah ada makan, tapi start ada kurang makan, start dah susah ada keperluan harian tu. My brother, during a point of time, dia baru nak pergi ITE. He have to stop the dream juga. Dengan dia punya courses, dia nak kena kerja. And for me pula, that is where I dah start to rebel lah. Because baru nak pergi secondary, tapi I just cannot concentrate to pursue I punya secondary education, and also to pursue the dream yang sepatutnya I dapat, I ada tu. Where diorang dah susunkan jalan I for that goal 2010 lah waktu tu. So I started to be rebellious. I started to rebellious in a form of, bukan memang nak cari pasal. Rebellious in a form is aku nak do something for the family, tapi aku nak kasih orang sedar. Orang-orang ni is orang-orang yang terdekat lah. To be open is family members juga. Family members where I see that if you witness, this is how your sister is living her life dengan anak-anak dia. So where is that family support? Pasal this always the context orang yang janda ataupun orang yang duda, when after diorang divorce tu, itu part yang they doesn't have the maintenance, they doesn't have the support daripada orang-orang yang sepatutnya. Before we go MP, tak tahu berapa kali kita pergi, before kita, it's like every week kita macam rasa muka sampai naik tebal. We cannot be going everywhere to seek assistance for a single mother and their 6 children. Sampai pergi MP pun boleh kenal ni family tinggal mana, blok mana. So it's just the rebellious feeling yang where is the family? So that is why I start to rebel. I cakap I cannot withstand this thing. I tak boleh go through, tak boleh tengok. Rather aku keluar to do something. So that is where I started to do my own things kat luar. I just keluar daripada rumah. I just try to live my life with my survival kit kat luar. Try cari kerja cap merah sendiri. Try to do all those anti-vice activities lah. Jual VCD lah, apalah, jual otak-otak, kena kerja dengan the hawkers pe orang. Because kita bikin tak ada permit and all. So all these things just because of bila aku balik, I can put some money on the table. And it become more hatred bila kita rasa macam ini aku punya tanggungjawab at this young age. Dia bukan cakap pasal aku tak happy tau, tapi is this supposed to be me doing this at this age, to go out to work for the family? Sedangkan where are all those elderly? Mana orang-orang tua? Where is the adult yang can support us? Mungkin boleh support, example my mom, or even can support us as their nephew ataupun their niece. That point of time, there is no support for our family. That is why my rebel punya attitude tu kan semakin menjadi. So when I start to do all those illegal activities outside, of course kita mesti nak kena ada another set of family. Okay, so another set of family is, of course, I still want to call them my wonderful street brothers. Okay, because of these people lah. Partly pun where I am today, with the identity of married mentor, with the identity of bringing back ataupun integrate back all those fallen brothers and sisters yang pernah menjalani hukuman dalam kehidupan mereka, consequences. Because being said that me myself go through consequences. Of course along the way tu kita lalai sebagai satu manusia. I did some mistake and I even face the consequences lah. Example macam I was involved in writings and all. So that thing was something yang I feel itu benda memang nak kena bikin sebab dia ada pergi ada balik. When you try to survive out there is nothing for free. Tak boleh kau just want to be with that company atau you just want to be with that family just for your own benefit. You need to benefit both ways. So benda yang nak kena bikin, cari makan, cari duit, tetap kita dapat bikin. Tapi benda yang terjadi, we have to take the rap together lah. So that is where this set of family is the direction where they give me back the attention. You know, when you do something for them, when you show to them your loyalty, brotherhood, and so forth. So these are the people yang akan kasih you balik. Mak kau, mak aku, family kau, family aku, apa-apa pun, apa tahu, we will go through this together as long as there is no betrayal, and also tak ada siapa-siapa yang menganiaya siapa-siapa lah. That's the main thing lah, betrayal lah. Apart from that, to me, family is still family. Aku kat dalam ke, atau aku kat luar ke, they are still my family. Even arwah ibu pernah cakap dengan I yang even kalau masih lagi ada orang yang kat luar sana tak boleh terima anak ibu, kan, you are still my son. Buruk baik macam mana pun, ibu je yang tahu. Because she literally know the change of her wonderful son sampai jadi rebellious son. Even orang pernah panggil sampah masyarakat atau whatever names being given to her son, is still her son. Semakin membesar, different child ada different needs and wants. Okay. So of course when I turn rebellious, I want to do things on my own. I have my own decision making during that point of time. I cakap dengan dia simple lah. Arwah ibu tu I ingat lagi, I cakap important, I masih hidup, I masih balik, and apa tau, I can provide for the family. So don't question me so much. During that point of time, even to her, I dah start macam gitu. And of course, that part is I remorse lah kan, benda tu waktu tu kita jahil lah. Tapi when I do this thing, I came back, the first thing I cakap dengan dia apa tau, I do one more thing yang I feel that I will need to be open with you. Cakap apa dia, I bikin tattoo. I cakap dengan dia. Cakap I bikin tattoo, berapa besar I bikin tattoo, berapa banyak I bikin tattoo. So macam mana pun dalam hati ada taman lah. Macam mana pun kita tahu yang this is the woman that we cannot lie. Okay, it's our mom. So sama juga balik I pakai sweater. Kali dia cakap, banyak ke tattoo bikin? I jangan buat macam gini dengan ibu tau, gini. So I clearly remember I unzip. To be honest, my tattoo ujung sampai ujung berada. Orang tua tu rebah. Orang tua tu lebih. Kaki dia terus, ya Allah, terus. And the fact is, I cry. Macam, ibu, I minta maaf, bu. Because why? Luar is a problem. That's the thing. Like I mentioned, kan, dalam there is an empty space. Dia ada blank. Tapi luar ni dia macam-macam temptation. So, nangis lah. I nangis. I cakap, I minta maaf, bu. I tahu, you know, always disappoint you and all, gini. I cakap, ibu ingat kau balik, kau ada senangkan hati ibu, apa yang kau cakap dengan ibu. Because she try to understand every each of her children. So that is where she start to pour the feelings lah, you know, yang throughout apa yang I bikin kat luar tu, she have been praying lah. Sebagai satu ibu, dia tak tahu apa yang bikin kat luar. To be honest, kalau I merompak ke, I pukul orang ke apa ke, dia tetap doakan yang terbaik. That is dia punya, mungkin hikmah tu yang out of 10 maybe one I kena tangkap, yang lain semua no, Allah tutup air aib. Because of maybe I believe till today, I believe bila dah tua macam gini, dah dewasa gini, I believe kerana doa ibu. Because she don't know apa dia doa. Tu biar dia bila fikir balik, bila arwah dah tak ada semua kan. Sekarang mungkin selama ni apa aku bikin, dia are things yang aku kena tangkap. Tapi we know, maybe there are more things yang kita belum kena. Tapi I believe in the statement bila, yalah, it's not that dia bukan pasal nak tangkap atau tak tangkap, is kerana Allah tutup kita baik. So it's how kita sendiri jaga kita baik. So because of the wonderful maybe doa yang arwah ibu buat untuk kita lah. To be honest, I sampai hari ni macam keep telling myself, when she pass on, arwah ni tak ada ni sekarang, that thing is what relax lah, doa seorang ibu, all those kind of things. Masya Allah. That point of time, if I can share with you during that incarceration moment tu, banyak rasa, I use the term remorse but not regret. So because of that thing yang I put up in my life kan, I told myself yang aku tak boleh rasa regret lah. Because kalau aku rasa regret, wasted aku go through this life journey. Pasal I percaya dengan, yalah, kadar dan kadar lah, takdir, I bump to many people, orang cakap okay apa macam ni, daripada some people who already have everything. Mungkin keluarga dia memang mewah, apa dia nak semua dia boleh dapat, tapi tetap rasa kosong. Mungkin he have been an achiever in life, tapi tak pernah rasa jatuh. Tapi bila dia rasa jatuh, he can't manage himself. Tapi for me, maybe I believe even siapa yang melalui takdir yang buruk dulu dalam hidup, these are the people yang maybe when life transition happen, they will feel the appreciation. Diorang lagi rasa bersyukur because of this thing happen, comes the takdir yang baik tu. Diorang akan lagi they will never let it go. Diorang tak akan lalaikan keadaan lagi. They will always think yang aku dah go through that phase, tak mungkin aku nak go patah balik macam gitu. During my rehab, that point of time, I choose to be low profile. Macam lebihkan baca buku, lebih ambil tahu balik pasal all those things yang lagi terlepas agama and all, so that to better myself first before aku nak pergi cakap dengan orang, you need to change for the better. So asal diri balik dulu, terima. Example, orang cakap sebelum kau tunjuk jari kat orang, the rest of the fingers are pointing back at you, something like that. So it's a process lah. Sejujurnya it's a process untuk muhasabah diri. Even though in that kind of situation, that kind of place, tapi the emptiness ataupun the blank yang you ada waktu tu, it's really a therapy lah for us untuk muhasabah diri lah. Whereas bila kat luar ni, any moment, any time, any seconds, things can easily change. Temptation boleh datang, problem boleh masuk. There are many empty rooms for your life to have an issue daily. So that is the difference lah yang I boleh cakap kat sini. To be honest, it's over time. Kalau even I've not yet dengar orang tu dengan satu detik tu dah terus keluar macam itu. Because as I mentioned, even till today, I used to sit with an ustaz, okay, seorang sahabat juga. Dia pernah tanya I, okay, ya Syahri, panggil nama betul lagi. Saya panggil nama betul kan. It's a different feeling tau bila orang panggil nama betul you dengan orang panggil I kan. Sekarang I, so far, dah berapa lama you try to maintain yourself? During that point of time, I clearly remember I shared with this sahabat yang cakap dengan dia yang dah belasan tahun. Dia kata I, it's still too early. It can be even 2 decades of your life, you think that you have transition ataupun change. Tapi dalam masa 2 minit, benda boleh change juga. Any time of time, when we talk about orang-orang yang my category, we are bound to relapse. That's why in whatever sharing ataupun engagement that I do, I always say that I'm recovering. I never use the word I change. Even if you realize I cakap transition, I never use the word change. Kalau macam orang seperti I, kalau I cakap word change tu, that is where I tak nak tahap dia macam I will start to look at the people who have not changed differently. Kau masih belum berubah, kau masih belum berubah, kau masih belum berubah. So I don't want to go to that stage. I'm still telling myself it's a transition that I go through, and the thing that they need to know, I'm recovering. I'm a recovering person. So bila I cakap dengan sahabat ni, aku kalau duduk dengan orang semua panggil aku Ai. Example. Asal kau panggil aku Syahri kan? Asal kau simple lah. Pasal Ai lah banyak orang dah panggil kau, itu yang buat kau lupa kepada diri. See? And it makes sense. To me, it makes sense. Sometimes we live by the name that's already been given to us by our parents lah. Okay, example, Muhammad Syahri bin Jumaat. As we grow up, the identity change bila orang start to panggil you Ayi something something, Ayi something something. That is where kita per life tu kita rasa I don't live in that Muhammad Syahri bin Jumaat anymore. Tapi bila orang ingatkan balik Muhammad Syahri atau Syahri Jumaat, kalau ada authority kita panggil dia yes sir. Kalau ada mak bapak, ya ibu, ya ayah. Tapi orang panggil Ayi, Afsal. Kira is how sudden change yang kita boleh tunjuk kat orang tu dengan kita punya identity. Bila kita kat dalam tu, Allah sayang kita. And I believe that Allah sayang kita, dan kerana Allah sayang kita. Because why? Kalau dia tak sayang kita, kita tak ada kat dalam, the beast in us dia akan jadi lagi teruk. Tak tahu apa akan jadi lagi. Example, from voluntary causing hurt boleh jadi grievous hurt. Of course, from writing boleh jadi writing with deadly weapon. Kalau kita nak go further lagi, dia boleh jadi example murder. So, ni empat I dah rasa lah, jujur cakap. Because being in a secret society, part of it, the journey, gaduh ni normal lah untuk kita. So, kalau tak kena, okey lah. Dan jangan tak kena, yang kita tak nak tu kena. So, to me is Allah sayang kita. Bila He knows better perjalanan kita tu macam mana. And even sometimes bila kita nak ada niat nak ubah tu, itu part yang kita kena. So, to me, likewise. Konteks luar pula, the opposite of kat dalam, if only you have a very good environment. Tapi orang punya pemikiran pula, bila masuk dalam ni, terus gone. You cannot change for the better, kau sampah masyarakat, keluar ada rekod. Betul, keluar ada rekod tu betul. Tapi that is our law context. Keluar memang ada rekod. Of course lah, you kalau pergi Malaysia, you balik pun cak pasport, orang kata you baru balik pada Malaysia. So memang ada rekod you baru balik pada Malaysia. Tapi kalau you masuk dalam, memang ada rekod macam pernah masuk dalam. Tapi apa you buat kat dalam tu, that is important. The people kat dalam tu, ada yang lagi worse daripada kau. Kalau kau degil, ada orang lagi degil. So itu dia punya basic punya kefahaman. Kalau kes kau teruk, ada orang kes lagi teruk daripada kau. Wah, duduk berapa lama? 5 tahun. 5 tahun je. Saya 9 tahun. Dalam lain. Saya 11 tahun. Berapa urutan? 4. Saya 24. To them, that is achievement. To them. To them, that is achievement. Tapi for me, during that point of time that is where reflection comes. I go masjid that time, tattoo semua belum laser. Tattoo belum laser, masih very visible nampak. So I go to this one particular mosque. Tengah line up nak ambil wuduk. Baru nak ambil wuduk, pakcik sebelah kira dah bising lah. Cakap, kenapa tak tu ambil wuduk kat rumah? Ni real story, ya. Kenapa tak nak ambil wuduk kat rumah? Sekarang tak boleh. Sekarang tak, lain kali kan nak pakai tangan pendek ke, atau tangan tu ternampak tattoo kan, ambil wuduk kat rumah. Okay lah, fine lah. Nak masuk solat Jumaat lah tu nak masuk solat, correcting the saf kan, nak fill up, nampak depan ada kosong, kita mesti nak move apa. Okay, dia tolak, belakang ada tattoo kan. Cakap, hilang kusyuk, boleh pergi belakang tak? Jadi macam gitu and one of the place yang jujur I tak expect akan jadi macam gitu. The acceptance, kita buat acceptance. So before the community in general punya konteks nak accept kita punya agama ni sekarang ni dah macam gini. So the next round, what I do, the time where I boleh pergi solat semua, step pergi toilet nak buang air kecil, tapi at the same time dalam tu toilet yang jamban tu kat masjid kan, kat situ ambil wuduk ada pipe apa, ambil wuduk jadi keluar memang dah basah, dah ada wuduk because how can I fulfill ambil wuduk kat rumah kalau sambil jalan terkentut ke, terpijak benda ke. So to me is I don't want to argue on that, I just do sampai sekarang masuk dalam jamban, ambil wuduk dalam dan pergi. Nak solat pula, I took the initiative lah, kasih semua move dulu kan. Dan pasal dia macam satu, you macam tersentak you nak kejar pergi depan tu, alih kena tolak pergi belakang. Asal ni tolak. Sekarang tau, nampak okay, tak kusuk. Okay lah. I been there dan that. Rasa kena tindas, rasa rejection, nak solat pun susah. Masuk masjid nak solat kena halau pergi belakang, nak ambil wuduk nak kena ambil kat jamban. So all these things I've been there dan that. I dah kena dah rabak. I berani cakap yang kat dalam tu tak semua orang masuk pasal orang nak buat kes. Maybe suku masuk dalam pasal family. Kenapa curi susu Pampers? Kenapa? Pasal family ada situation. They have to do robbery, they have to do all those kind of thing. And sometimes even the warden, the wardress feel bad because as an authority figure, diorang rasa macam apa aku cakap korang nak kena bikin. Tapi when they read balik kenapa dia masuk dalam, apa kes dia buat, I don't know that you do this for your family. See, they are still good people kat dalam. It's just a record, it's just a thing to mark yang kau pernah masuk prison, kau pernah masuk dalam. My mom shows me all the life lesson in life, okay? And impossible kalau I cakap pengorbanan dia tu akan disia-siakan. If it is, to me is I don't fit to call her ibu. Example, my daughter, one of my daughter was born with complication. Okay, she lived with one kidney. Okay, I have this one daughter who lives with one kidney. Before that, dia memang ada 2 kidney. Bila dia give birth the time, one of her kidney tak boleh function naturally like the rest. So doktor cakap we will go through a certain period of time to monitor it. If the kidney doesn't function as it is at a different percentage, then that kidney need to be burst. Okay, of course lah. To us, anything happen to a small girl, life threatening. So I witness dia kena tebuk sini, tube semua. And it happen lah, the kidney, they have to laser meletupkan. Jadi tinggal satu kidney to depend. During that time, bila dia kat high dependency and all, as a father looking at daughter macam gitu, with all the tube kena tebuk kat leher semua kan, she shed droplet of tears kat situ That is the moment I will always remember juga. Tapi as she grows up, dia tunjukkan air yang you need to be happy with life. She's a jovial girl now. When dia tengah grow up, dia lupa tentang dia ada satu kidney. Dan kenapa kita asyik sebagai satu manusia nak kena fikir pasal kekurangan kita? Asal kita sebagai satu orang tua ni asyik nak kena fikir pasal kesilapan kita. Asal kita tak nak fikir benda yang baik, benda yang lagi boleh memperbaiki diri. She taught me partially macam mana nak move forward in life. The week before, kita semua dah ada family masing-masing lah. Sibling pun dah ada family masing-masing. So, arwah dah start to age lah. So, she have health issue and all. So, it took turns for us sibling to look after her or visit her. Okay. That time I was on my night shift lah. That month I was on my night shift. So what happened is, I keep asking aku off, nak jumpa arwah macam susah lah, nak jumpa ibu macam susah, bila boleh jumpa? Kejap sini, kejap sana. Of course lah, kita sibling 6 beradik apa. Kejap rumah adik, kejap rumah abang, kejap rumah gini. Then when it's my turn, I sense that we just can't read the future. Kita tak tahu what gonna happen next. Tapi when things dah jadi ni, barulah I berani kongsi lah. It doesn't goes right lah. arwah ibu cakap mungkin next week lah dah boleh jumpa. Tapi tengok macam mana. The next week yang nak jumpa tu weekend. Okay. Tiba-tiba dia cancel. Dia kata apa tak, ibu tak jadi balik lah rumah abang. Rumah abang is my elder brother lah. Ibu tak jadi balik rumah abang. Ibu kalau balik pun ibu ambil ubat ibu for another 1 week. Ibu want to stay at your sister house first. Okay lah, kita tak fikir apa-apa. So as time goes by, Syad cut it forward. Dan nak hujung lagi satu tu. Dia dah ambil ubat 7 hari apa? 7 hari. I call her. I cakap, ni confirm balik this weekend InsyaAllah ibu balik. Okay. Ingat tahu, orang kalau spend time dengan ibu, I still cuddle with her. Walaupun dah tua macam gini, bertetu macam gini, kalau pergi rumah abang tu, even my abang ada ke tak ada pun kan, I akan naik, I will inform my abang, aku nari naik rumah kau aku nak jumpa ibu. Kita makan, kita baring tengok TV, kadang kita gurau-gurau kacau-kacau each other . So that thing was really channel in my mind. Macam mana aku nak spend weekend aku dengan ibu aku . So that day, siang hari dia main dengan cucu dia. Then she said that she wanted to rest after taking medication. My adik dengan laki dia, my sister dengan laki dia keluar nak pergi beli makan. So my adik yang third teman kat rumah. When they come back, the husband had to prepare the food. Then the husband asked my third sibling, wake ibu up ke lepas makan ni, ibu dah boleh mandi siap, kita boleh hantar balik rumah abang. What happened is, tangan dia jatuh. She pass on in a sleep. InsyaAllah lah, husnul khotimah lah . I receive a call. Tapi dah kecoh lah dengar kat telefon. Ni bunyi di punya ambulans semua dah datang. Hard to believe as a son. Lagi berapa hari ni aku nak jumpa arwah ni. Ni apa hal ni kan begini. Bising lah. Korang jangan main-main lah. Korang gini kalau nak bawa pergi hospital lah. Pergi settle lah gini. Along the way tu, one by one adik-beradik semua dah berbual dalam telefon. Trying to console each other lah. I still on my right state of mind, masih nak pergi kerja ni, nak masuk shift. Masuk dalam toilet masih nak ambil bath kat shower kan. The moment, the whole transition tu, dengar dah sampai hospital, diorang gitu, my sister cry over the phone. Tengah loudspeaker ni tapi tengah mandi. Tu ambil balik, asal kau nangis? Abang, dah, doktor cakap arwah dah tak ada. I can sense that air yang jatuh tu daripada shower tu, rain shower lah I pakai kan. Aku tak tahu dah berapa puluh tahun aku tak pernah nangis macam gitu. Tak pernah rasa seperti budak kecil. It's totally a different thing when, maybe lah personally when you lose a mother. Dengan with the life story yang I had with her, the journey I had with her. Mak, sambil air, sabun badan tu air dah macam budak kecil lah. Whatever family have ever think about Mari Mentor by the name of Syahri Jumaat, yang orang cakap sampah masyarakat, good for nothing, apa-apalah, family ataupun orang-orang luar. I still bersyukur sebab her last resting place sebelum dikebumikan, she was being dimandikan kat rumah air, disolatkan kat rumah air dan diiring sampai ke pesara daripada rumah air, which is something actually she did told my sister. Ibu ada rasa lah hujung minggu ni kalau belum balik waktu hidup tau, berapa hari tu, 2 days before, sebelum ibu balik rumah abang kau, ibu rasa nak singgah rumah bayi. Itulah singgah ada last. Singgah untuk mandi, singgah untuk disolatkan kat rumah air. Remember she told that apa orang cakap pasal anak ibu, apa orang cakap, orang panggil anak ibu, I tetap anak ibu. Buruk macam mana pun, buruk-buruk ni lah anak ibu. ibu tahu anak ibu dah berubah, cukup. Syukur Alhamdulillah. Dia amin lagi. Dia sandai. Kita suka kadal. Okay? Suka amin. Ayu pun cakap amin. Main-main. Anak kan. Main-main. Amin. Aku betul-betul kan main-main lah. Amin lagi macam gitu lagi. But in my heart, I have this doa lah. I cakap yang, ya Allah, as a son, I'm happy when my mom mentioned that thing. If there's a possibility, I believe in you lah. Kalau kau boleh grant dia 20 over years, the years that can replace me till this age yang 20 lebih tahun ni, dia cakap aku berubah, kau hadiahkanlah dia. Itu I pay personal. That's why when she pass on, I macam marah, I bingit. I cakap apa tau, not only to her, I can give it back to my father juga. Because I know, as a son, being more groomed to be a better child, better teenager, better adult, I screw it up. Only bila 20 lebih tu, bila dia cakap amin, orang dia cakap amin, I feel yang, ya Allah, kalau boleh kau kasih lah. Kalau boleh restart di 20 lebih tahun, kau kasih restart balik. Aku nak jadi dia punya anak. Dan semua aku nak betul-betul jadi anak. Jalankan tanggungjawab aku, kasih dia rezeki yang halal apa-apa. Pasal dulu semua rezeki tak halal. Jual VCD, do all those stupid thing, rompak ke apa. But niat tu memang untuk family. Tapi when she mention that thing, I just want to come back as a true son yang do the right thing. Allah answer the prayers belasan tahun, and she pass on. It triggered me. Wah, dah start question. Kenapa jadi macam gini? Kenapa jadi macam gitu? Apasal lah? Padahal aku lagi berapa hari nak jumpa. That is where I met someone that someone told me. Kata Allah sayang juga. The message is Allah sayang. Kalau dia betul kasih 20 lebih tahun, belasan tahun ni sia-sia dia kata. You have to think that thing positively. Kau nak kena relax. If this belasan tahun akan sia-sia kalau dia kasih kau 20 lebih tahun. Mungkin kau tak tahu 1 or 2 years later, you change. These are the people who really confide me. And to me, it struck me. Because we also don't know the future. How we gonna end. Macam mana. Sebab kita tahu bila habis nanti, adakah beliau orang yang baik? Baik. So that is where I believe she's turning a year this month. Arwah dah pergi tinggalkan kita 6 adik-beradik. Dia punya emptiness memang belum lagi boleh ada isi lagi. She's the reason this year I am able to perform my umrah lah. She's the reason. Last year she passed on. Of course, I tengah nak cari macam mana nak overcome that thing. She passed on August, November. I straight away go apply for kursus. Orang pun, some who knows me cakap, betul. On January, pagi, she receive a house key. Tapi Allah sediakan rumah yang lagi cantik. Padahal HDB kasih dia rumah 21st January. On 21st January, malam tu I pergi umrah. On 21st January is my birthday. When I'm at umrah, InsyaAllah felt her presence kat sana. And it really bring me to tears lah, rabak. When I did my tawaf, everything played back. Everything played back from I'm taking my baby step. Me and my mom, it really give me the recording, the playback of it's not your parents' fault. And you shouldn't fault your parents. The life has been given to you. Pentas ni, dunia ni is pentas kau. It's how kau nak end kau punya life, how you design it. Because as I mentioned, dia ni amanah kau. Aku amanahkan dia untuk ada dengan kau kat sini. Dia diberikan hak atas diri kau untuk kasih yang terbaik. Then you have to walk your journey. So this is my journey. Mari mentor.